What if the one holding the smoking gun wasn't who we thought? What if Salem's most chilling confession came not from a villain, but from a child? This week on Days of Our Lives, the long-standing mystery of who shot E.J. DiMera is on the verge of unraveling, and the answer might shake Salem to its very core. In this video, we break down the latest spoilers, analyze the shocking implications of Rachel Black's courtroom appearance, and ask the question, could the tiniest witness carry the darkest truth? Let's dive into one of the most disturbing twists the show has teased in years. The courthouse in Salem has never felt more suffocating. A place meant for justice now resembles a pressure cooker of secrets, lies, and unbearable emotion. And at the eye of this storm stands someone no one ever expected, Rachel Black. She's the daughter of Kristen DiMera and Brady Black, a child who has already seen far too much. At an age where she should be worrying about school friends and bedtime stories, Rachel is instead being pulled into the most high-profile attempted murder case Salem has seen in years. So why is Rachel, so young, so fragile, suddenly the centerpiece of this trial? Because on the night E.J. DiMera was shot, Rachel was there. She saw something, and that something could be the key to unraveling the entire mystery. According to Days of Our Lives spoilers, Rachel vividly remembers Johnny DiMera standing over E.J., gun in hand, shouting in a heated argument. It's a memory that could send Johnny to prison for decades. But longtime viewers know how duel works. The truth is never that simple. What Rachel remembers might only be a piece of a much larger, more twisted puzzle. Still, her words carry power. Enough power to ruin a life. And despite their desperate efforts, Kristen and Brady can no longer shield their daughter from what's unfolding. The law demands answers, and Rachel, despite her age, must now face the courtroom spotlight. It's a harrowing moment. She takes the stand, hands shaking, eyes wide with fear. Her voice trembles. She looks for her parents in the crowd, silently begging for this nightmare to end. But deep down, there's something more than just fear in Rachel's gaze. There's confusion, a hint of guilt, and perhaps a memory so dark, so buried, it's just beginning to surface. Rachel isn't just another witness. She's a child on the edge of a psychological cliff, and every step closer to the truth could send her plummeting into emotional chaos. Ever since the shooting, Rachel has changed. She's withdrawn. She avoids certain topics. And worst of all, she's been talking in her sleep, whispering chilling phrases, fragments of sentences that sound like confessions. Brady and Kristen chalked it up to trauma. A child confused by violence. But what if it's more than that? What if Rachel isn't just remembering, but repressing? Flashbacks, nightmares, panic attacks, all classic symptoms of repressed trauma. And Rachel has displayed every one of them. When asked about that night, her answers are vague, hesitant, laced with visible discomfort. She seems scared not of what she saw, but of what she might have done. Is it possible that Rachel herself pulled the trigger? It sounds unthinkable, but Salem has seen impossible things before. And this theory, once whispered in shadows, is now gaining serious traction. Rachel may have acted without understanding. A child caught in the chaos of adult rage. Maybe she reached for the weapon. Maybe she fired without meaning to. And maybe her mind, in its instinctive need to protect her innocence, buried that moment so deep she can't even recall it, yet. But trauma has a way of rising. And with the pressure of the courtroom bearing down on her, Rachel's subconscious might be preparing to release the truth in the most public, devastating way imaginable. And when that happens, nothing in Salem will ever be the same. There's another player in this emotional firestorm. Someone who has quietly carried Salem through its darkest hours. Someone who now finds herself at a moral crossroads. Marlena Evans, doctor, therapist, matriarch, moral compass. For years, Marlena has helped Salem's broken souls piece themselves back together. But this time, she may be the one standing in the way of justice. A recent summer preview clip shows Belle Black confronting her mother with a gut-wrenching accusation. "You knew who shot EJ, and you didn't say anything." The shock is immediate. Marlena, the woman who's always stood for truth, withholding something so critical. Why? There's only one answer that makes sense. Marlena is protecting someone, not just anyone. Someone she would protect even if it meant compromising everything she believes in. Someone like Rachel. What if, during therapy sessions, Marlena uncovered fragments of the real story? Maybe she heard Rachel speak about the gun, the bang, the blood. Maybe she realized the child was suppressing the memory of actually pulling the trigger. And instead of going to the police, Marlena made a choice. She chose to protect her granddaughter. She chose to keep that truth hidden, even as her own grandson, Johnny, faced possible life in prison for a crime he didn't commit. It's an impossible moral dilemma, but one Marlena may be living with right now, every single day. As she watches the trial unfold, as she hears Rachel's name called to the stand, as the truth inches closer and closer to the surface. If Rachel confesses, Marlena will have to live with the weight of knowing she delayed justice. If Rachel doesn't, then Marlena may continue to carry the truth alone, a secret so heavy it could tear her family apart. And in either case, when the truth does come out, Marlena Evans may no longer be seen as Salem's most trusted voice, but rather as the woman who stood between guilt and justice, and chose silence. The courtroom falls into a haunting stillness. Every breath is held, every eye trained on one small figure, Rachel Black. The judge leans forward. The jury sits frozen. Kristen clutches Brady's arm, her knuckles white with fear. Johnny swallows hard, his fate hanging on the fragile testimony of a trembling little girl. Rachel stands at the witness stand, her feet barely touching the floor. Her fingers tremble against the wood. Her lips quiver. She scans the courtroom, her eyes desperately searching for comfort, a familiar face, a nod of reassurance, anything that could anchor her in this terrifying moment. The silence is suffocating. The prosecuting attorney gently asks the question again. "Rachel, do you remember what happened that night?" And then, as if pulled from the depths of her subconscious, a place she has locked away for weeks, maybe months, the words emerge. I remember. A pause. A breath. A wave of gasps builds on the edge of anticipation. It was me. Just 5 words. But in those words, an entire world collapses. Gasps ripple through the courtroom like a thunderclap. Brady closes his eyes in anguish. Kristen stifles a cry. Marlena, seated quietly in the gallery, goes pale, the weight of her worst fear now spoken aloud. And Johnny, the man who has been accused, dissected, judged, looks stunned, like a man surfacing from a nightmare only to fall into another. Those 5 horrific words don't just answer a question, they detonate a bomb. Because now, the shooter isn't a hardened criminal or a jealous relative, it's a child. A little girl. A daughter. A niece. A granddaughter. And suddenly, every assumption, every belief about justice, blame, and innocence is shattered. This is no longer just a trial. It's a tragedy. And Salem may never recover. With Rachel's shocking confession out in the open, nothing in Salem will be the same again. The fallout will be swift, brutal, and deeply personal. For Marlena Evans, the revelation cuts to the core of her ethics and identity. As a psychiatrist, her duty was to protect her patients, but at what cost? Did she hide the truth for too long? Could she have prevented this courtroom catastrophe? She may now face intense professional scrutiny, possibly even legal consequences, for her silence. Her once spotless reputation could unravel overnight. Brady Black and Kristen DiMera, already locked in an uneasy alliance for their daughter's sake, are about to enter all-out war. Rachel's confession will ignite a fierce custody battle unlike any Salem has seen. Accusations will fly. Who left the gun out? Who created the emotional environment that led to this? Who allowed their daughter to carry such guilt for so long? Meanwhile, Johnny DiMera is free, but he won't walk away unscarred. He was vilified, publicly tried, nearly condemned by his own family's memories. Though the shackles of suspicion may be lifted, the emotional weight of nearly being sentenced for a crime he didn't commit will linger in every corner of his psyche. Trust will be difficult, healing, even harder. And then there's EJ. The man who nearly died at the hands of his own niece must now process an unbearable reality. Will he seek justice, or mercy? Will he demand consequences, or protect the child who, in a flash of confusion, nearly ended his life? The DiMera family, already a house divided, may fracture beyond repair. But what if Rachel hadn't remembered? What if Marlena had kept her silence, and Rachel had remained locked in confusion? Then this trial would have dragged on, deepening mistrust, spreading pain like poison through every relationship it touched. Marlena's silence would have grown heavier. Johnny's despair would have intensified. And Rachel's hidden trauma would have festered. Either path leads to heartbreak. But now, the truth is out. And with it, comes devastation. So now we ask you, the viewers who've walked through every twist and turn of this emotional firestorm, what do you believe? Was Rachel's confession a tragic unveiling of a forgotten crime, or was her memory shaped by those around her? Is Marlena a loving grandmother caught in an impossible moral dilemma, or a professional who crossed a dangerous line? And can the DiMera and Black families ever truly recover from a truth so raw, so painful, and so deeply personal? We want to hear your thoughts. Was this an accident, an act of protection gone horribly wrong, or the darkest secret Salem has ever buried? Leave your theories in the comments below, and let us know if you believe justice was truly served. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single update as this shocking storyline unfolds. We've only scratched the surface of what's to come, and if we've learned anything from days of our lives, it's that in Salem, the truth has a way of destroying everything in its path.